Hello, my little triglets. How are you all doing? All right, well, today we're going to do section 3.4, and we're going to talk about the zeros of a polynomial. All right, zeros, remember, are where it crosses the x-axis. It could be considered the solutions. Um, Before, when you had an equation like y equals 2x cubed plus x squared plus 4x minus 8, you had to take the factors of 8, which are plus or minus 1, 8, 4, and 2, and put them over the factors of 2, so plus or minus 1 and 2. So you had a ton of possibilities that you could try in the press box. And usually in Algebra 2 it gave you hints, try the even ones or the positive, negative, or positive odd ones or something like that. Well, no more, okay? So when you do the poly button on your calculator, it will give you the zeros. Now some of them you'll recognize, maybe it'll just say x equals 1. Or it might say x equals 0.5, or it might say x equals 0.92765. These two we recognize, and we can try those in the press box in order to figure out what this one is. Maybe that one is a radical that we don't know very well. So the poly button will get us started, but we're still going to have to use the press box a little bit. So we'll do that in class. The poly button also, as a reminder, is written, it might give you an answer like this. Now that doesn't mean the 0.32. What it means is it's imaginary. The 3 is the real part, the 2 is the imaginary part. So if you see 3 comma 2 after you use the poly button, it really is the imaginary thing. So you have to know that as well. Now the one problem I do want to show you is if you are given the zeros of, let's say, 3 and I want to find the polynomial that goes with that. So what we have to do is put those in the parentheses and actually FOIL it out to come up with the polynomial. Now, if you remember from Algebra 2, if you are given an I, you have to automatically know that negative I is also a 0. So you have to put that in there with it on your own. That's also true as if I was given a square root of 2, then you have to know the negative square root of 2 is also a 0. Okay, that's called the conjugate rule. So let's go with these 3 and try a problem. And so what you do is you say x minus all of the roots. So x minus 3, x minus I, and x minus negative I. So working this out, I'm going to do x minus 3, x minus I is fine, and then this one I'm going to change to x plus I. Now it's always a good idea to start with these two. So I'm going to distribute. I'm going to take this and multiply it by both of those, so x squared plus xi. Then I'm going to change color here. I'm going to take negative I and distribute it to those two, so I have negative xi minus I squared. Okay, so that part is done. And don't forget to keep this going in the front here. Now, if you did it right at this step, the i's should all disappear. So I can see those two will cancel out. And remember, I squared is negative 1. So this is negative 1, which is plus 1. So what I really have left here is x squared plus 1. And then take the x minus 3, and we're going to FOIL it again. So I'm going to take this times both of those. So I get x cubed plus x. Now take the negative 3 times both of those. So negative 3x squared minus 3. And then we're just going to rearrange it so it's in descending order. And there we have it. There's our polynomial. So if I were to plug that in the poly button, it would come up with the answers of 3, and then that's the first answer. The second answer would be 0, 1, And the third answer would be 0, -1. That's what it would look like because this is the I, this is the negative I, and then the 3 is our normal one. Okay, so every time you set these up, you want to say x minus x minus x minus. Now, what if I give you I plus 2? Well, let me back that up. Oops. What if I say 2 plus I? You always put the imaginary part last. Well, then 2 minus I is automatically 1. Now, setting this up, I still do x minus, but I have to put in this, so it's going to look a little bit weird. So distribute the negative, so I have x minus 2 minus I, and distribute the negative here, and I get x minus 2 plus I. Now when you go to distribute, I'm going to take this times those 3. So I get x squared minus 2x plus xi. Let's go with red here. So negative 2 times each of these would be negative 2x plus 4 minus 2i. And then let's take the negative I times each. So I get negative xi plus 2i and minus I squared. Okay, remember at this step, the i's should go away. So I have plus xi and minus xi, minus 2i and plus 2i. This is negative 1. So what I really have left is x squared. I have 2 of these, so minus 4x, and then I have 4 and negative 1, that would be a 5. So this is the polynomial that gives these two answers. Now, because those answers have i's in them, that means our graph is not going to touch the x-axis. There is no x-intercept anywhere. Okay, so that's what all of that means. All right, so we're going to use the poly button. We're also going to use some synthetic division with the press box. And then we're also going to do these types of problems when you have to actually work backwards and find the polynomial rather than finding the zeros. Okay, short video tonight. Thanks for listening. Ta-ta for now. Oh, I almost forgot. Trig love is in the air. Ta-ta.